So, good morning, everyone. My name is Nishant Dixit, and I'm a senior solutions architect with Treasure Data CDP. So, I've been in the big data space for a better part of a decade now, but specifically around CDPs and customer data platforms, I've been around for about 4.5 years now. So, when you look at an industry at the time as niche as CDP, I had to wear a lot of different hats in a lot of different positions to be able to serve the customers correctly, right? So everything revolved around how to serve the customer and then what could be done better to make the customer's experience more personal and more enhanced, right? So that's what I've been doing. And so because I've spoken to a lot of different customers, I have an understanding of all the different tech stacks that are used in retail, that are used in automotive, that are used in all the different sectors, how they don't interact with each other, and what causes the issues that we're going to talk about, which is data silos, right? So when I'm going to talk about data silos, I'm going to talk about what they are, what are the different technologies that we can use in today's world to be able to remove them, and then how Treasure Data specifically uses these technologies on a daily basis to enhance and personalize the customer's experience, right? So, but when we talk about data silos, in the real world life, people don't understand data silos. What they understand is disconnected customer experiences, right? And when I talk about disconnected customer experiences, it's the core foundation of everything that we talk about and do today. I use my phone, I go to the store, I visit a website. All of these are different experiences that a customer has. And if you have disconnected systems that are not able to talk to each other, it gives a really bad reputation, right? So before we get into the techie part of it, I'm gonna talk you through two examples. One is of disconnected customer experiences, and the second one is where you actually are able to overcome them with certain technologies, right? And this is a real life experience, so I'm very passionate about it. When this happened about around 3 years ago, when I was, before I moved to the UK, I used to live in California, and I had a combo broadband plus internet plan and mobile plan with one of the biggest telecom brands in the US, right? So one day, I receive an email from them, and this email is about a plan which is 50% of what I was paying at the time, or 50% less than what I was paying at the time, and had the offering of 5G and a lot of fun stuff. And I was really happy. I was living in the Bay Area, so I was really happy to see that. And I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm going to click into it, and I want to get that plan. So I go in, I click onto the email, and I land on their website. But instead of landing on the page that showed me the plan, I ended up landing on the homepage. Now, it's not a bad experience, let me say this, but it's a disconnected experience, right? So I was not going to let that deter my, plan to get the plan and have be on it. So I started looking into their website. After about 20, 30 minutes, I was still not able to find the plan. So I'm like, oh God, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to go end up calling the call center. I called the call center, and I called them with the registered phone number that I had. So in my head, I'm just like, oh yeah, Mr. Dixit, how can we help you? Instead, I get, oh, what's your first name, last name, and phone number? Disconnected experience number 2. They should have had this information because I was calling from the phone. Nonetheless, I was very determined to get my plan, so I was not going to let that bog me down. So I go across and I tell them my information, and what I realize is that while they have information about my current plan, they have no idea of the email that I have received from one of their own different systems, right? So in my head, I have to explain to them that, oh, this is the email, this was the plan, and to my surprise, they go, oh, I'm sorry, this plan is not available for your region. In my head, I'm like, I got an email from you, so if you're going to roll out a plan that is regional, you should probably check if I'm actually a part of that region. So again, disconnected experience number 4. So I was like, okay, what should I do? So they go in like, oh, what you can do is you can go onto the app, and on the app, they use your geolocation, so they'll be able to get you better plans there. I'm like, okay, that's a bit unusual. So I go onto their app, and on the app, there is no geo information, there is no geolocation. It's exactly the same as the website, generic page, everything's very generic. They had my plan details, but there was nothing about any sort of promotions or any sort of plans that were in my area. I was so exasperated at that point that I was about to give up, but I didn't, because I really wanted the plan. So I go into their store. Which is very close to my house, and I walk in, they're clienteling apps there, they put in my phone number, and they're like, I'm sorry, sir, we're not able to find you. And I'm like, oh my God, are you kidding me? So at that point, I was like, okay, what happened? Like, so where did you sign up? I said, I signed up 3 years ago in the San Francisco store. Oh, that's the problem. Our stores don't talk to each other. Okay, so what do you want me to do? I'm sorry, sir, we can't serve you with anything at this point. You need to go to that store, change your preferences to this store, and then we can sort out your issues. By that point, I was done with them, dropped the mic, I churned. I did not go through with that plan. I did not even go through with that provider anymore. So this is the kind of experience that makes you feel that if anything could have been done better at any of the different stages, I would have had a much better journey, right? But I'm not going to keep you on to a negative journey to just tell you about how bad it was for me. I'm going to tell you about a positive one that actually helped me reaffirm my faith in what loyalty is, what retention is, and how we can use customer data platform to benefit more. Right? Spoiler alert, the second story that I'm going to talk about is they're actually a customer of Treasure Data. So the thing that came out of was actually, but I found out later, so it's not that I was quite aware of it at the time. But anyway, fast forward, June 2022, I've moved to the UK. It's been a couple of almost 2.5 years that I've moved, and I've bought a nice car from a major brand that in the UK. So I go about couple of services already, and then I think I was expecting my next service to be somewhere in October 2022. But one day, I just get an email from them saying that, hey, so I think you're due for your next service, and here are the different options that we can provide you. In my head, I'm thinking, that's not probably accurate. But I know probably all of you know about this, that there are two ways of being able to service your car. One is on a yearly basis or whatever, or the second part is if you reach a certain mileage. Now, because they've been taking IoT and telematic data from my car and feeding it back into their systems, they were able to give me that positive experience, and I, being not so proactive, they were able to tell me that you need to service your car, otherwise you're going to face some problems, you're going to have some issues, right? So I was very happy with the fact that they were proactive enough to reach out to me and give me this opportunity. And once I was there, the email also said that based on where you are located, these are the 3 top locations of service stations that are close to you. I was like, hooray, that's really nice, because I don't have to worry about finding the location, putting in my address information, and then getting those details. I already got them as recommendations for me. So I jump onto their website. This time, instead of going onto the generic homepage, I actually land on their booking the appointment page, which had all of my information in it already. My car, what are the previous service histories, and what are the recommendations that they wanted to give me for my next servicing. They also spoke something about me wanting to change my oil filter and my air filter, and I was like, God, that's really good, because they have been collecting all of that data from my car and pushing it into their systems real time so they can get some telematics out of it, right? So that was really cool. I was very happy. I ended up booking the appointment. One day before I had to go for my appointment, I get a call from the call center, and they're like, oh, sir, we just wanted to make sure that we're confirming that you're coming in tomorrow. You have the VIP access lounge. So they're giving me a really good service, making sure that the customer service person, the customer service agent, also had all of my information that was being shared on the website and that was being shared in the email. So this gives me an idea that of the connected customer experiences, this call center was equally a part of it, right? So I end up going through my service. It was a premium experience. The next day, I go onto their app. It already has the details of my service history, what was service, how it was done, when is my next service due, and it also had 2 or 3 recommendations around what add-on products I can buy on top of the car that I bought. That tells me that it's not a generic add-on thing that they've just pushed on to everyone. It's specific to my car, it's specific to my model, and that they care about what I'm buying, right? The last bit, which is just sort of rounding the thing up, is the fact that I got an email a few days later that this particular store that I used to go to, or this particular dealership that I used to go to, they had 20% discount on those same items that were shown to me on the app. That tells me that they've been monitoring all of my different activities, whether I go on the app, whether I go on the website, whether I've serviced my car, and then based on that, they're able to say, if this person is still not completely engaging in buying these add-on products, maybe he needs a bit of a push, maybe he needs a bit of a discount. And you know what? I was really happy. I ended up buying those add-on products, and that was a really good experience, right? So this was my bit about just talking about what a connected customer experience is, right? But Now let's come to the part where it's actually the things that make it possible. So what are these different technologies that are making my life easier, that are making this seamless customer experience? Right? We're going to take a look at all of these different technologies and how they play a part in the different parts of ingestion, transformation, or processing of data. Right, so the first thing that we're going to talk about is FluentD. FluentD is an open source collector for unified logging layer. What it does basically, it allows you to unify data collection and consumption for better use. It's getting all of your streaming data in one place and not having to worry about all of the problems that come with logging. So what are the different problems that actually do come up with logging? Because you have heavy data sets coming in from all different places, you have the possibility of data losses, right? You also have the possibility that you have to maintain a lot of manual scripts in order to parse the data or aggregate the data when you're sending it to different systems. You also have a lot of different file formats. So you have GPS data coming in from one place. You have event data coming from other system. You have website data coming in. You have Twitter feeds coming in. All of them are in different file formats, and it's really difficult to bring them all together without using some sort of scripts. Right? And the last one is, while you're doing all of these scripting and transformations, you need to make sure that the speed of the business doesn't get affected. So what FluentD helps you do is that it does data buffering. So anytime there are data losses, there are resource congestion, it makes sure that there is data buffering so you don't end up losing data. It has plugin-based architecture. It has more than 300 existing plugins, and it has centralized data collection. So really, really powerful tool. This tool is mostly based on size and the fact that you bring in a lot of data from different places. And it helps resolve the problem that I spoke about, which was about logging, right? So you have either you need to parse some, in order to parse some data, you need to write in some scripts, or if you're sending it back to other different systems, you need to use aggregation scripts to make sure that your data is actually being sent to MongoDB or to Hadoop or wherever it is. But FluentD helps do that, and it provides a centralized logging by becoming the middleman between all of these different systems. Here are just some of the major users of FluentD. I've not put all of them, but I've put one of the top ones like Google and Atlassian. There are a lot others that use FluentD on a daily basis to stream all of their data and unify it into one place. The next one that we're going to talk about is Fluentbit. While I said FluentD was more in terms of size, Fluentbit was made more for performance. Right? So it's a super fast, lightweight, and highly scalable logging and metrics processor and forwarder. It does everything and it's the best choice for cloud and containerized environments. All right, like I said, Fluentbit is more scale towards performance in mind. So what it does help is that it's scalable. It has around 1 petabyte of data throughput across all the different data sources. It's also flexible. It has more than 1 billion solutions across all the different data systems. So you could have IoT data, you could have Windows servers, Linux servers, all the different things that can be put into one place. It's also efficient. It's extremely lightweight. So it's 450 kilobytes of minimal data transfer, and it can be used across all the different asset supports. And the last one is that it's very extensible. It has more than 80 existing plugins. So when you look at FluentD and Fluentbit, the question that comes to your mind is, when do I use Fluentbit and when do I use FluentD, right? So imagine you're in a situation that when you use Fluentbit, it would be deployed on per node and then collecting and forwarding this data to a FluentD instance that is being deployed per cluster. So you have Fluentbits across each of the different nodes, and then it sort of aggregates into FluentD, and then FluentD, based on tags, is able to send the data to all the different data sources after that. Sorry. Next one, in turn, is Embulk. The first two that we spoke about were more about streaming data. This one talks about more batch data and the fact that it's a data loader that helps transfer data between different databases, different storages, file formats, and cloud systems. Embulk has a lot of different plugins. So you could bring in data from Hadoop, from your Salesforce CRM. You can bring in data from all the different places, and it's supported with a lot of different outputs. You can parse files, you can decode them, format them, encode, and also have them executed within Embulk. The next one, once you've brought the data in, once you've had either bulk ingestion or you've had streaming ingestion, the next one that we're going to talk about is what do we do with the data once it gets into the system, right? So DigDag is a really simple tool that helps you build, run, execute, and monitor complex pipelines. It's an ETL tool that helps resolve everything that's done by your cron jobs, by your IT systems, and everything that you can replace using coordinated tasks and pipelines. So what are the biggest achievements that DigDag has had, and why do you use it? So it does enhance organization. It allows you to also reduce errors by managing different dependencies. One of the best things that it does is error handling by making sure that your big data sets are broken down into small chunks and queries so that you don't have to go through one big bulk of processing data. You have smaller queries that can run either parallel or in sequence, depending on how you want them to run. And it improves collaboration between organizations because you have projects within each DigDag system, so you don't have to really depend on one person finishing their job and then you doing it. You can just create separate projects, separate workflows within them to help do that. And while you can do that, right from the ingestion process to utilization, you can group them into into smaller tasks so that you can make sure that anything that you want to run parallelly, you can put them into the same place. Anything that needs to run sequentially, you put them separately. So it does a really good job of being able to understand and mimic those relationships. The last thing that I want to talk about DigDag is that outside of just doing everything that it does scheduling. It also does bulk data loads. So what you were able to achieve with Embulk, you also achieve that with DigDag. You have API REST calls that you can make while you're processing the data. You can get data from outside systems and bring it back in using DigDag. So it's really a powerful tool. And all of these tools that I've been talking about, they are open source, and they've been built by Treasure Data. So they are very flexible, and they're very adaptable to the market. The last one that I'm going to talk about before I start talking a bit more about how they connect together and how they give a good experience is Apache Hivemall. Once you've brought in the data, once you've started processing it, what you need to make sure that there is a machine learning algorithm that's running and understanding your resources, your node allocation, and being able to transfer the weight of each of these different resources and data points across the different nodes. So Apache Hivemall is a scalable machine learning library that runs on top of Apache Hive, Spark, and Pig. It's a machine learning library that's built within a collection of Hive user-defined functions and is licensed under the Apache license v2. So within the bigger picture of all of your Presto engines and Hive query engines running, Apache Hivemall runs on top to make sure that none of your data none of your SKUs actually happen in the system, because at all points, it makes sure that the data is separated out and it's based on weighted algorithms and all of those factors. So, like I said, all of these technologies are quite amazing. They're open source and they're used widely in the market. But you might, and you're in a big data conference, right? So you might just go out and say, I can find a substitute for each one of them. Better or not, that's a different conversation. But you can find a substitute for each of them when you talk to all of the vendors outside. What is it different about these technologies that I talk right now than all of the others that are separated out, that are, again, data silos, right? So when we talk about Treasure Data uses all of these technologies on a daily basis within their connectors and within their platform to make sure that all of the different pieces of information that are coming in are using these technologies and they're being benefited from that. So you have, for data inputs, you have your Embulks, your FluentDs, Fluentbits, outside of which you also have your Python, you have your REST APIs, and your JavaScript SDKs. And then once the data goes and flows into Treasure Data, we have our own proprietary database, which is called PlasmaDB, that does querying using Hive and Presto, and is able to put all of that in an analyst console, which is completely exposed to every customer. Everything that I've shown you so far in terms of technologies is available on the analyst console, and everything is an open box. There is no such thing as black box. There are no codes, no queries that are being done behind the scenes. So everything that happens within Treasure Data is showcased right here. Right? Once you have that, you have all the pre-processing happening through DigDag, and then the data is being shared into the CDP platform, into the IoT, and into the product analytics. Once that is done, any of the data that needs to be sent out is sent out to social media or APIs or all of the different data science platforms using, again, your Fluentbit and FluentD and Embulk systems. So like I was saying before, all of these different technologies, we've incorporated them, and we have more than 1,000 connectors. And I really kid you not about this. We have more than 1,000 connectors to Salesforce, to Zendesk, to any technology, Snowflake, any of the different technologies that you mentioned. We have a connector which is based off of these very technologies, these very tools, Embulk, FluentD, Fluentbit, to make sure your IoT data, your GPS location data, your order details, all of your different CRM details are captured in the time frame that they should be captured in. Now, that brings me to a bit commercial part of my conversation, which is around the fact that while I've spoken a lot about these technologies are made possible by Treasure Data. We've been a part of SoftBank for a while, and last year we were heavily invested, around $234 million into us as a part of the funding. And this has given us a lot of opportunity to grow and scale these technologies, as also bringing in more and big customers like AB InDev, Dentsu, and so on and so others, right? While we are doing all of this, we are also GDPR, SOC 2, and CCPA compliant, and we also find regulations around all the different other regional regulations and policies. We have compliance around most of them. Now, if we have to talk about what Treasure Data offers, you obviously know one of the most important ones, which is CDP for marketing. That's been there for a while. We've been in this industry for a while. But along with CDP for marketing, which is mostly used to make sure that there are activations, that you're sending data to social, to sending data to all the different downstream systems, we also have CDP for sales. We specifically have CDP for services. So what I was talking about, Zendesk and Intercom and all of the different Freshdesk, all of the different customer service experiences, that is being handled specifically to service desk, through CDP for services. And when you have such critical information that needs to be retrieved within a second, because when you call a call center, you need that information to be in front of you to make sure that you have a seamless experience. So we have CDP for service that manages all of that using a concept called active data layers. Right? At the bottom of all of this sits our trust foundation. Treasure Data Trust Foundation manages cookie consent, regular marketing consent, newsletter consent, also makes sure that there is data governance, data lineage, there is policies around data erasure. So anything to do with trust and compliance and security is also managed within the same platform. So while you have this one platform that has all the data from different systems, you also make sure that every consent, every GDPR and privacy issue is also taken care of and is the source of truth for that as well. I'm just putting these numbers out here because I want you to understand that because Treasure Data has predominantly been a very big data focused company, for us, scaling at large is never been an issue. We have more than 1 million queries running every day. We have petabytes of data that are being transferred, that are being shown every day, that are being processed. And all of this, while we have ID resolution working, we have data transformation working, we have different Python queries, machine learning queries that are running on top of this that churn data and that process it within minutes. Right? So you have more than 20 billion records that are being consumed by one customer every day. And that's a huge amount of data. If you consider any of the automobile industry or any of the different CPG industries where the data event streams are coming in really fast, this is the platform that does that at scale. That's about everything. If you have any questions or if you want to talk about any of these technologies more, we are at booth 610, so you can come and visit us, and we would love to talk about that. Thank you.